When you flick that switch, feel the warmth kicking in, you probably don't spend much time thinking about uh, the system behind it all or, the huge industry that keeps that comfort flowing. But what if I told you that all that silent work, well, it's part of a multi-billion-dollar market, one that's not just growing, but kind of fundamentally changing how we think about energy, safety, even our own homes. Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the global heating systems maintenance market. We're pulling back the curtain using insights from the Global Heating Systems Maintenance Market Report 2025.
Yeah, and it's really not just about, convenience. This market plays an absolutely critical role. We're talking energy efficiency, safety, making sure everything runs optimally, whether it's your home heating or like massive industrial systems. And the impact on you is pretty clear, right?
Yeah.
It's your comfort, your safety, and yeah, definitely your wallet. A well-maintained system saves energy, saves you money. Simple as that.
Exactly. So our mission today, really, is to pull out the most important nuggets from this big report, give you a shortcut to understanding the, frankly, surprising growth and just how significant this essential but often, overlooked industry actually is. We're not just going to read numbers at you. We want to help you grasp what they really mean for the world. Right, let's start with the big picture, the global overview. The report shows some really robust expansion. So back in 2021, the global heating systems maintenance market, it was valued at over $5.1 billion. And the trajectory is pretty steep, expected to rise to over $6.2 billion by 2025, and then jump again up to nearly $9 billion by 2033. That works out to a strong compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of over 4.7% for that whole period.
What's fascinating here isn't just like more heaters being sold.
Yeah.
This kind of sustained growth, it points to something deeper, a real commitment to making our existing heating infrastructure last longer. Think about it.
Huh.
Instead of just replacing systems constantly, there's this growing global focus on maintaining them, which, well, it has huge implications for resource management, doesn't it? Fewer systems getting thrown out, less need for raw materials. It's kind of a quiet shift towards efficiency over just constant replacement, a big deal for managing energy globally.
That's a really crucial point, almost like a hidden sustainability story happening right there. So, okay, the global picture's clear, strong growth, but I'm curious where this growth is really, taking off, which regions are the hot spots. Here's where it gets really interesting, I bet.
Absolutely. If you break it down regionally, North America is still a major player. No surprise there. The market was, what, over 1.5 billion in 2021, set to reach over 2.5 billion by 2033. That's a steady CAGR, just over 4.1%. Now, within North America, the U.S. obviously has the biggest slice of the pie, but interestingly, it's Canada that's actually showing the strongest growth rate. Their CAGR is pushing nearly 5%, and Mexico is showing solid expansion too. So even in established markets, you see these dynamic pockets of growth.
Okay, interesting about Canada there. Now let's hop across the Atlantic to Europe, a region with, tons of established infrastructure. What's the maintenance story looking like there?
Europe's showing very consistent strength. Started over 1.1 billion back in 2021, and it's expected to cross 1.8 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR of about 4.3%. So solid growth. What stands out in Europe, though, is Germany. They actually have the strongest growth, a KGR getting close to 5%. The UK is also showing robust expansion, good numbers there too. And then you've got France, Italy, Spain, all showing solid, steady growth between, say, 3.6 and 4.6% CAGR. So a very consistent pattern across the board, but Germany's acceleration is definitely worth noting.
Right, Germany leading the pack in Europe. Now let's talk about what many call the global growth engine, Asia Pacific. What are the numbers telling us about heating maintenance over there?
Oh, Asia Pacific is definitely the booming region for this market, no question. It was already over 1.7 billion in 2021, but the forecast, it's expected to hit a huge $3.3 billion by 2033. That gives it the highest regional CAGR, nearly 5.4%. Just phenomenal growth. China is, of course, a massive part of that story. Their CAGR is over 5.5%. But the real standout, the country with the highest growth rate in the whole region, is India. India's posting an incredible CAGR of over 6.2%.
Wow.
Yeah, it really signals rapid urbanization, industrialization, just driving that demand way up. And you see strong contributions, too, from places like Singapore, Southeast Asia, generally, Japan, Australia. They're all part of this big expansion.
That 6.2% for India is really something. Okay, let's pivot south now to South America. What's the trajectory like there?
South America is showing healthy expansion, too. It's growing from about 314 million in 2021, projected to be over 566 million by 2033. That's a solid 5% CAGR for the region. Brazil, as you might guess, is the largest contributor there. But Argentina is actually quite impressive. Its CAGR is over 5.5%. So another example of a really dynamic segment within a region. And you also see sustained growth in places like Chile, Colombia, Peru. They're all adding to that momentum.
Good stuff. Okay, next up, the Middle East. A region we often associate with needing cooling, but heating is key too, especially seasonally or in certain areas. How's the maintenance market doing?
Yeah, the Middle East market is definitely growing. It was around 221 million in 2021, expected to get close to 400 million by 2033. That's a strong CGR again, about 4.9%. Saudi Arabia and the UAE are really central to this. And interestingly, both the UAE and Turkey are posting CAGRs above 5%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that points to, continued infrastructure development, lots of modern buildings, and a real focus on keeping things running efficiently.
Makes sense. All right, let's wrap up our world tour with Africa.
Africa, well, it's starting from a smaller base, obviously, around 139 million in 2021, but it's projected to grow to nearly 250 million by 2033. That gives it a respectable CAGR, just over 4.1%. South Africa leads the region in terms of market size, and countries like Nigeria are also significant contributors as development there continues to push demand for reliable heating.
Okay, so we've covered what the numbers and the where the regions. It's a picture of really solid growth pretty much everywhere. But the real deep dive, I think, comes when we get into the why. What's actually fueling all this expansion? What does it tell us about, energy use and infrastructure going forward? So what does this all mean?
Right. If we try to connect this to the bigger picture, this market growth, it's not happening in a vacuum, right?
Yeah.
It's tied into several really powerful global trends. First, just think about the increasing demand for precise climate control. It's not just about being comfortable anymore. It's critical for efficiency in places like data centers, hospitals, labs. And these more complex systems, well, they naturally need more sophisticated, more frequent maintenance to really perform well.
Okay, that makes sense. More complexity needs more care. What else?
Second big factor, those ever stricter energy efficiency regulations popping up everywhere. Governments, industries, they're all pushing hard for lower carbon footprints, less energy waste. And that translates directly into needing regular high-quality maintenance. Why? Because a well-tuned heating system uses less energy. It helps meet those new standards. It's not enough just to install efficient gear. You have to keep it running efficiently.
Right, compliance is a big driver.
Definitely. And third, there's the constant march of technology in HVAC systems themselves. We're talking smart thermostats, predictive maintenance using AI, buildings with integrated management systems. These cutting-edge systems are super efficient, sure, but they also need specialized ongoing care to get the most out of them and, frankly, avoid costly problems. It's less about just fixing a broken part now and more about optimizing this whole complex digital and mechanical setup.
So smarter systems need smarter maintenance.
Exactly. And then finally, maybe the most straightforward driver, just global urbanization and ongoing infrastructure development. More buildings, more homes, more offices, more factories. It simply means more heating systems out there that need looking after. So you put all that together, the demand for control, the regulations, the tech, the sheer volume, and it guarantees that maintenance services are just a critical part of managing heating systems. For you, whether it's at home, at work, or in the businesses you use every day, it's really fundamental.
That really paints a clear picture. It underlines that maintenance isn't just, a reactive fix. It's proactive, it's essential, and it's tied into these huge global shifts, sustainability, smart tech, urban growth.
Precisely. It's not a nice-to-have service anymore. It's fundamental to keeping our built environment safe, efficient, and, yes, comfortable, year in, year out.
So the key takeaway for you listening seems undeniable. This heating systems maintenance market, it's on a really solid global growth path. This isn't some tiny niche. It's a core part of modern infrastructure. And it's being driven by basic needs, comfort, safety, efficiency, but also turbocharged by regulations, technology, and just development around the world. It's like the silent engine running our indoor climates.
Which, leads to a really interesting question to think about as we look ahead. How might this booming maintenance market not just support sustainable heating solutions, but maybe even help drive innovation in that space? And what is this whole shift, this move from just replacing things to actively maintaining them for longer? What does that really imply for global energy use trends down the line? Especially as our heating systems get more and more sophisticated and networked, what could the future actually hold for the warmth and comfort we all kind of take for granted?
Really powerful questions to chew on. And just a reminder for everyone listening, all this detailed analysis we've been discussing, it was pulled straight from the Global Heating Systems Maintenance Market Report 2025. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking into something that, well, affects pretty much all of us, the heating systems maintenance market. We've gone through the latest reports, industry chatter, and honestly, there are some powerful forces reshaping its future right now.
That's right. It might sound a bit specific maybe, but understanding what's happening here, it really links back to your energy bills, your comfort, even safety at home. It's definitely more than just, keeping the radiators warm.
Okay, let's unpack this then. It feels like there's a lot going on, more than just the usual seasonal ups and downs. So from what you've seen, what are the main things really warming up this market?
Well, I'd say there are really three key drivers pushing things forward. First, and this is probably the biggest one impact-wise, is this constant push for energy efficiency and, of course, the cost savings that follow.
Right, the savings. Makes sense. Lower bills, longer equipment life.
Exactly. And beyond just comfort, what's really striking is that, systems that aren't maintained well, they can actually burn through like 10 to 25% more energy, even if they seem to be working okay. That's sort of hidden cost, isn't it? A lot of people just don't realize it's happening.
Wow, 10 to 25%, that's a big chunk out of your wallet over time.
Yeah.
Definitely a motivator for people trying to save. But what about the idea that focusing only on efficiency might mean, other things get missed, like air quality or maybe just how long the system actually lasts?
That's a fair question. But true peak performance, which is what good maintenance aims for, it actually covers both efficiency and things like proper airflow, system health. It's about optimizing everything together. So really, it helps you avoid those trade-offs down the line. Think total cost of ownership, not just the immediate bill.
Gotcha. So efficiency is a clear win. Okay, shifting gears a bit. You mentioned older homes. That brings up the whole issue of aging infrastructure. That's a huge challenge, but maybe an opportunity too. I know my own system makes some, let's say, interesting noises sometimes. You do wonder.
You're definitely not alone there. Across North America, Europe too, there's just this massive base of what we call legacy systems. Think older boilers, furnaces, maybe early heat pumps.
Yeah.
They just don't have the efficiency ratings of the newer stuff, even if you maintain them perfectly.
Right.
And that older gear, it needs constant attention, regular upkeep, sourcing parts that might be hard to find, and critically, it needs skilled people. HVAC techs who know how to work on these older, sometimes complex systems as well as the modern ones. That need for skilled labor, it creates this steady built-in demand. It's not disappearing anytime soon.
Yeah, that workforce piece is huge. Okay, and the third driver you mentioned, regulations. Regulatory compliance, that feels like it's becoming more and more visible. How are rules changing things?
Oh, massively, especially if you look at commercial buildings or apartment blocks, places like that. We're seeing this trend pretty much everywhere. Governments bringing in stricter rules about emissions, ventilation standards, general heating system safety.
So specific checks and things.
Exactly. Like in many places now, annual boiler checks or specific carbon monoxide safety measures, they're not just good ideas. They are mandated inspections, legal requirements. This whole regulatory landscape just creates this constant, unavoidable need for professional maintenance. Making sure systems are safe, yes, but also up to code.
Okay, so putting it all together, we've walked through efficiency demands, the reality of aging systems, and these tightening regulations. What does this all really signal for the future of heating systems maintenance?
Well, if you look at the big picture, it's pretty clear these drivers are fueling some pretty significant growth. It's moving way past just fixing breakdowns and looking ahead. I think innovation and green practices are really setting the agenda. We're starting to see more predictive maintenance, using AI, smart systems flagging potential issues.
Yeah.
Plus, a bigger focus on eco-friendly heating solutions.
Right, the smart tech angle, which actually leads perfectly into our final thought for you, the listener. Think about this. What kind of smart home feature, maybe predictive maintenance, telling you exactly when a filter needs changing, or warning you if a component looks like it might fail soon? What might you see in your own home in the next, say, 5 years? And how could that completely change how you even think about maintaining your heating system? Something to mull over.